Hey guys, so today I'm going to do something a little bit different for you guys. So I think I'm going to start a series called Chill Chats, where we just sit here on my bed and just chill and chat. So today I want to talk about going cruelty-free and just kind of my advice and my tips for going cruelty-free. So I went cruelty-free about 6 or so months ago. That means I am not an expert. Obviously, everything that I say here is from my own experience and just what worked for me. That might not work for everybody. And again, I am not an expert. I haven't been cruelty-free for years and years and years like a lot of people here on YouTube have. Regardless, this is my experience. Now, I thought it might be helpful because you know how like in high school when you're a freshman, they bring in like upperclassmen to teach you what helped them go through their first year of high school. They don't bring in college people to talk to freshmen. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I feel. I feel like I'm out of the freshman stage of being cruelty-free, and I feel like maybe I'm like a junior sophomore status. You know what I mean? So I figured this might be helpful because I am still fresh into the cruelty-free world, but I am no longer a beginner. You know what I mean? So I've been getting a lot of Snapchats from you guys just asking different questions about growing cruelty-free. Was it hard? Blah, 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 blah. Do you like it? Like just a bunch of questions like that. So I just wanted to sit down, chill with you guys, and talk to you guys about just some general tips and advice for going cruelty-free. I even have like a notepad of things so I don't forget anything. So the first thing I'm going to say is don't get overwhelmed. It's going to be so overwhelming because you're just going to want to you realize that all of your makeup has been tested on animals and you're like, I don't want to support these brands anymore. I want to throw away my whole makeup collection. Calm. It's okay. Just breathe. You're also going to be bombarded with information. You definitely want to do your own research, and you want to do a lot of research, but we'll talk about that in a second. You're going to be bombarded with information and differing opinions, especially in the cruelty-free world. There's a lot of different opinions, and you're just going to have to make peace with that and realize that your own opinion is just as valid as the next person. So don't get overwhelmed, because as soon as you get too overwhelmed, you're just going to want to shut down and you're going to go buy a L'Oreal mascara because it's just easier. The best thing I think to help yourself not get so overwhelmed is to surround your social media self with cruelty-free beauty bloggers. So I'll list some down below that I follow, but just search the cruelty-free hashtag on Instagram and find some girls and guys that you like to follow, because then you'll, instead of constantly seeing brands that are tested on animals, you'll be seeing brands that are constantly cruelty-free, and it'll make it a little bit easier because then you'll be able to just automatically know oh well, that's cruelty-free and that's cruelty-free, and they're usually really good about sharing information with you. So if you're unsure with something, you automatically have somebody to ask. Same with YouTube. Search some awesome YouTubers. Again, I will list some of my favorites down below, or just some of the people that I follow down below. But just surround your social media self with cruelty-free beauty bloggers. I think it'll make it a lot easier for you. Breathe and just realize that it's going to be hard, but I wouldn't rush into it. I very much took the aspect where I either threw away, if they were nasty, I threw things away, or I gave away stuff that I just didn't use that wasn't cruelty-free, and then all the stuff that I did use that was tested on animals, I just used up because I had already purchased the product, I've already wasted the money, and I don't want to waste the product. So that's personally what I did. Again, you do you, but I'm telling you guys my experience. So just take a step back, educate yourself, realize it's going to be hard, it's going to be a little overwhelming, you're going to need to know a lot of information, but that's okay because it'll all come with time. Just be patient with it and just be really involved and you'll be fine. Another thing, because I know for me, oh my gosh, it's so loud outside. Okay. For me, my favorite places to shop for makeup were Walgreens and Target. Look in the natural section. If you have a natural section at your local grocery store or something like that, look in that section when you're looking at makeup, because a lot of the time, mind you, a lot of the time, those brands will be cruelty-free. Locally, I have a Fred Meyer here, and they have a whole organic section, and that's where I can find Pacifica and just a lot of different cruelty-free brands, and they're just right there, really convenient. Because the main thing for me was it was kind of inconvenient to be cruelty-free for a second, because a lot of the brands that I liked weren't in store, or a lot of brands that were cruelty-free weren't in store. So that just kind of made it a little bit easier. So that's just another little tidbit. Second thing I want to talk to you guys about is setting a goal or a plan and seeing where you want to be once you're done like with your cruelty-free journey. So what is your first like area of life, I guess you could say, that you want to be cruelty-free? For example, for me, the first thing I wanted to get cruelty-free was my makeup and any beauty related products, because in my personal opinion, those are the things that it is the most ridiculous to test on animals for. Like, I can understand animal testing for medicinal or medical purposes. I just did research on this, and I think it was 75 of 98 Nobel Prizes for medicine or physiology were immediately dependent on animals, and obviously those, it's terrible, but those are Nobel Prize winning pieces of literature and research, so obviously that helps humans. Again, it's not good, but it's just the world we live in. But testing on animals for something as mundane and kind of honestly selfish as like beauty products, like, no. So that was the very first thing that I wanted to get cruelty-free. So the first thing was my makeup. Second thing was my skincare, and now I'm working on hair care. And after my hair care, I think I'm going to start going into home stuff, so like candles, cleaning supplies, laundry detergents, stuff like that. So for me, first thing was beauty, second thing is more like household. You see what I mean? So I think it's easier to just pick a specific area and just focus on that, as opposed to, I want everything in my house to be cruelty-free all at once, because that's going to be really, really hard for you. So just narrow your focus, and then as you move, you can kind of move through your house or move through your life and see what needs to be transferred to cruelty-free, what needs to be replaced with cruelty-free products. Second thing within this second thing is find out what you are okay with buying, and I highly suggest, if you're looking to be cruelty-free, watch a ton of other videos like this one. Like, watch a ton of other beginning cruelty-free journey videos, because you're going to want to find somebody who, maybe I don't line up with your ideology or with your thought processes, you're going to want to find somebody that does. So when you're finding like what your kind of ideology behind being cruelty-free is, that means like, how do I describe this? Basically, are you gonna go full vegan? Are you gonna go just cruelty-free? Are you going to buy from brands whose parent companies are tested on animals? That one's pretty much the main like distinction or kind of dividing line between the cruelty-free community that I found. If you don't know what that means, it means that a company is owned by a parent company, and that parent company may test on animals, but this smaller company will not test on animals. For example, NYX and Urban Decay are both cruelty-free brands that are owned by L'Oreal, who is not cruelty-free. Personally, I will still purchase from NYX and Urban Decay, because I know that this specific Urban Decay Deslick makeup setting spray is not tested on animals, and I know that for a fact, and in my opinion, I want to support them because they are not testing on animals. They easily could sell out to China, and they could test on animals, but they don't. So that is my personal opinion. Others disagree with me, and I know some people don't want to purchase from those brands because they don't want their money to trickle up to support L'Oreal, because of course, eventually money will go up to L'Oreal. So that's why I'm saying look around at different beauty bloggers to see if that ideology fits with you. I totally blanked. I feel like there was another thing that I wanted to talk about. I'm sure I'll remember it. I like wrote notes, but even when I look at the notes, I still like go over my head. Let's move on to the third thing. Hopefully I'll remember that other thing and think about it. Anyways, the last thing you are going to need are good sources to find all of your information about cruelty-free beauty. The number one, and a lot of people will agree with me, the number one source is logicalharmony.net. Tashina, the owner of Logical Harmony, has a YouTube channel. She does a ton of reviews, and she has an entire blog, and she personally reaches out to every single brand and has them, like, I think they have to complete like several different pieces of paperwork that states that their products are not tested on animals, their ingredients aren't tested on animals, that none of their suppliers test on animals, that they don't sell it to China. There's a lot that goes into it, and if it passes through Logical Harmony, you can be guaranteed 100% that brand does not test on animals. She also puts brands that are 100% vegan. The only thing is if a brand does not have anything that's vegan, she will not put it on her her blog, but just because it is a mostly like vegan oriented blog, but that's perfect if you want to go vegan with your makeup. She's an awesome resource. But she is without a doubt the best resource to find information about different brands. She also has a ton of information about like laws going on around the world, stuff like do not trust brand websites. I will say it again, do not trust brand websites. I cannot count on all of my fingers how many times I've had somebody leave a comment down below in my videos saying, hey, just so you know, Revlon is cruelty free. It says it right on their website. If you read a website and it says, we do not test on animals, we haven't since such and such date, we love animals, yada yada yada. The only time that where there may be an exception is when required by law. Or in some countries there are certain regulations and we abide by those regulations. That means they sell to China, and in order to sell to the Chinese market, mainland China, they require animal testing by law. So, if you see that caveat, if you see that loophole, they are not cruelty free. And that is where Tashina is amazing, because she automatically weeds out all of those companies. Do not trust brand websites. If a brand is not on, because I mean it's just, I think it's Tashina and maybe her husband or boyfriend, I'm not sure, who runs the site, so it's a pretty, like, while it's gaining momentum, it's still a small site and there's a ton of brands that aren't on that list. And she does have 3 lists. She has gray area brands, which is where, like, if they haven't gotten her back to her with enough information, or if they're kind of just being sketchy about it, or if they're being unsure, it'll go on gray area brands. And then there's pending brands, there's non-cruelty free brands, and then there's cruelty free brands. So I guess 4 lists. If you don't see a company on any of those lists, what I will do is I will just search, is blank and blank cruelty free? And I personally want to be able to find at least 2 primary sources that say that they're cruelty free. So if you guys remember back to, like, what was it, like 7th middle school, when you remember what primary sources are. So let's say this certain little blog about being cruelty free reaches or uses PETA as their reference to say that they're cruelty free. They are not the source. PETA is the primary source. And again, I don't trust PETA because I have heard that brands can pay to be on their list. So PETA is not a trustworthy source in my opinion. You guys can do your own research. Leaping Bunny is a little bit better, but still I want at least 2 sources that say that, hey, I reached out to this brand and this is their response. Or something like Leaping Bunny, where they have reached out to the brand. You know what I mean? That's personally, in my opinion, I always, even then I'm still like sketchy to buy from them. I always prefer if it's on Logical Harmony's list, but if I'm just super impatient and I just really want to know if this brand is cruelty free, 2 to 3 primary sources searching on the web is usually what I will do, or I will reach out to them myself, but that one's a little bit harder because you can't get as nitty-gritty of information a lot of the times. Usually they'll just respond with, yeah, we're cruelty free, and you have to be more specific than that, because again, you have to consider if their ingredients are tested, if their suppliers, if they make sure that their suppliers are cruelty free, all of those different things. I will link a blog post, I think it was, that XO Love Letty did, that's all about how to go about messaging different brands to find out if they're cruelty free, so I'll leave that down below. But most of the time, like 99.9% of the time, I trust Logical Harmony. I feel like I'm just throwing information at you guys. Again, don't get overwhelmed. I have a really hard time with this when I first started going cruelty free, because I felt like within the cruelty free community there was such like there's such strong opinions sometimes that it can be really intimidating and really kind of unsettling when people are like, well, you're not being cruelty free enough, well, you're not doing it right, blah 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 blah. That got really, really discouraging to me, and I don't want anybody to feel like that, because it honestly like made me want to just like exclude myself from the cruelty-free community. I don't know, it was really intimidating, especially because I have a lot of like anxiety when it comes to social media, and if people start yelling at me on social media, I like clam up and shut down. Like I'm over it. But the thing that got me like through that is the quote, "Don't let perfection be the enemy of good." So you are trying to do good by going cruelty-free. You're trying to be a more conscious buyer, and you are trying to do good, and you're not going to be perfect at it. I'm not perfect at it. There's hardly anybody that is perfect at it. So don't let the fact that you're not perfect at it keep you from trying to do good. So there's gonna be people that disagree with you. There's tons of people that disagree with me, but this is just what helped me. So again, I just want to be another voice. Again, do your research, figure out who fits with your line of thinking, and just figure out what you want to get out of being cruelty-free and what your ideology is and what kind of path you want to take, and take it. I want you guys to know that I am always here to answer questions. Snapchat me, I respond really, really quick, and if I don't respond, message me again, because I probably just forgot to respond, because, you know, once you open a chat and then you close Snapchat, and then when you go back to that chat, the chat is no longer there. So sometimes when I don't respond, it's literally just because the Snapchat left and I forgot to reply, or I forgot what you said. But I want you guys to know you can always message me on Instagram, and you can message me on Snapchat. You can comment down below. Reach out to me whenever you guys have questions, and I am going to list all of my favorite people to talk to. Vegan Beauty Addict on Instagram is one of the most amazing people I've ever met. Tashina from Logical Harmony is just the sweetest, and she's always there for you guys. XO Love Letty. There's so many people that really, really helped me out, that are willing to help you out, that just want to get good cruelty-free information out there. So just to kind of, I don't know, summarize what we all talked about here, don't get overwhelmed. There's going to be a lot of information coming your way, but just educate yourself, figure out where you want to be, figure out your sources, just calm, because it's going to be a bumpy ride at first, but trust me, honestly, once you get into it and once you know what brands are cruelty-free and not, it's really, really easy to be cruelty-free. You just kind of have to sacrifice the ease of being able to walk into a Target and pick out whatever brand you want. You have to be more conscious of it, but once you get into it, it is really, really easy, and there are some amazing cruelty-free brands that you guys should support because they're great. I've also been exposed to a ton of like indie brands that I would have never learned about unless I went cruelty-free, but I'm so glad I did, because they're amazing brands that stand for great things. So don't get overwhelmed. It gets a lot easier, but the first month or so, until you kind of get your footing into all of the things you have to learn going cruelty-free, it is really, really easy, I promise. Second, choose your goal, figure out your plan, figure out your kind of thought processes, who you want to support, who you don't want to support. Do you want to go cruelty-free? Do you want to go vegan? And what the difference between that is vegan products are products that have zero animal byproduct. So like carmine is a product commonly used in eyeshadows to make them more pigmented, but it's made out of beetles. So that's just one instance where a Makeup Geek eyeshadow may be cruelty-free, but it may not be vegan. So there's a difference there. And then third, find good resources. Logical Harmony, Logical Harmony, Logical Harmony, but there are a ton of other beauty bloggers and just beauty blogs that are cruelty-free, but just be aware that people's opinions are going to differ within that. Some of them may be more reliable than others, that sort of thing. So again, just educate yourself and figure out who you want to listen to and who you don't want to listen to. And lastly, don't let perfection be the enemy of good. You are trying to do good by going cruelty-free. You're trying to be a more conscious buyer and trying to support animal rights. That is a great thing, and don't let the fact that you won't be perfect at it stop you from doing it, because if nobody did anything good because they were afraid to be perfect at it, so many social movements would not have started. So just keep your chin up. You're doing well. Always, always reach out to me if you have any questions. Again, I'm not an expert, but I can darn sure give you my best advice ever. Again, there's all those resources that I told you guys about, and I will list all of the resources that have helped me down below. And good luck with your cruelty-free journey, and I'm really proud of you. So you guys, that is the end of this first chill chat. If you guys have any ideas for chill chats in the future, just let me know. Let me know if you like this idea. Let me know if this video was helpful. And yeah, so if you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up for cruelty-free beauty. Woo! Subscribe for more cruelty-free tutorials and all of that jazz. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!